Ikaze kuri RNTV, Rwanda Nordic TV, ni televiziyo ikora mu majyaruguru y'Iburayi. Ngiye muri kumwe nitwa Gatete Olivier, nkabandi hano muri Swede mu mujyi wa Stockholm, aho hateraniye abanyarwanda n'inshuti zabo mu gihe cy'iminsi ibiri. Uyu munsi rero insanganyamatsiko ihari turi buvuge ku bijyanye naho igihugu cyavuye naho kigeze. Ngira ngo abanyarwanda mwese muzi amateka igihugu cyaciyemo, ngira ngo uyu munsi turaza kubibagezaho byose uko bimeze. Murakoze.
On behalf of the Embassy of Rwanda to the Nordics, I wish to express how pleased we are to be hosting this event at the Royal Institute of Technology, KTH. We do this in collaboration with the Living History Forum. Thank you very much. Our sincere thanks to Professor Stefan Osten, Vice President for Global Relations at KTH, and Caroline Kalina, Head of Department for Education and Research at Living History Forum, for speaking today. Allow me to start by acknowledging and thanking our guest of honor, Her Excellency, Madame Jeannette Kagame, the First Lady of the Republic of Rwanda. Thank you very much for gracing this event, Madam First Lady. On behalf of the Rwandan community in the Nordics, we are all delighted to have you here in Stockholm with us as we tell our story in a time when many prefer to tell a distorted story of our country. Our story is a miraculous story of the rebirth of the nation, thanks to the leadership of our dear President, His Excellency President Paul Kagame, and the Rwanda Patriotic Front that stopped the genocide against the Tutsi. While many people are amazed at what Rwanda has accomplished, some doubt it, and others anticipate our demise. To these people we dare say, never again. Never again will allow our people to be divided anymore. Our people will always choose unity over division and choose reconciliation, forgiveness, and peace building. We have learned from our history and we will continue to speak our truth. As we reflect on today's theme, Rwanda today from fragility to resilience, I can hardly imagine a more suitable keynote speaker than Her Excellency Madame Jeannette Kagame, a most distinguished First Lady who has dedicated her life to promoting social cohesion, girls' education, women empowerment, and to promoting long-term development goals for Rwanda, in line with the vision of our top leadership. Your Excellency, you are most warmly welcome to Sweden. We look forward to learning more about your work and experience this evening. The quality of speakers we have, the caliber of speakers, the caliber of people who will be leading the discussion this evening, they are exceptional people. and the list is too long to be mentioned here. And I hope you are all looking forward to the discussions and the contributions as much as we are. A special thanks to the speakers who traveled from Finland and Norway.
Years ago, and I currently serve as the State Secretary for International Development Cooperation until the new government is formed in a few days. So very good timing for this event. Today we will discuss Rwanda's journey from fragility to resilience, or perhaps the story of a journey from despair to hope. And I wrote my speech today thinking that I would have many people knowing not so much about Rwanda in the audience, and I look at all of you and you know already, but this speech is written for them or other partnership. It actually means getting a glimpse of the Rwandan journey, or perhaps even being a little part of it. So it's a privilege because it's a story including a lot of that very precious ingredients called hope. So I really recommend this, and even though there is the risk you, like me, become a Rwanda nerd, it's worth it. And I will actually stop talking now. It's a privilege to be here today. I look forward to hearing the rest of the speakers.
In the Balkans, Croatia, but also in Rwanda. In fact, he was the lead investigator in the case of François Bazaramba, a Rwandan national who had fled Finland, having committed genocide, and who is now serving term a life prison in Finland. Thomas, could you really share with us your insights in the challenges of making sure there is accountability for such a complex crime as genocide?
I understand that I don't have 2 hours. Thank you for the invitation. I really appreciate it. I feel honored to be here. And I have lots of friends in the audience, which I'm very happy to see. But to the topic, yes, I'm retired now, 46 years in the business of law enforcement. And I would say that last 25 years I've been mainly working abroad. Also in more than 20 African countries. But believe me or not, I'm not trying to be polite. Many of you know it as a fact, Rwanda is my home country. About the challenge of doing that kind of work that I did starting 2007 in Rwanda, I would say that with the experience that I had from so many other places where I worked abroad, the easiest.
Thank you for the invitation. I'm very proud and honored to be here with you today. To respond to your question, Gacaca was an innovative system that Rwanda had to invent, because after the genocide, you had, as has been said, we had the genocide had made at least 1 million of victims. And the justice system, as the ambassador have said, by that time was almost completely destroyed. So Rwanda had to find solutions, because what led to the genocide was the fact of not being punished. Because killing started a long time ago, even though now we agree that we only call genocide what happened in 1994, according to international standards. But the killings in Rwanda for Tutsi started long time ago. So which led to the genocide in 1994 was the culture of impunity. So then in that time, despite the fact that there was no justice system, the fact that there was a lack of everything, Rwanda government had to find a solution so that to end up this impunity, culture of impunity. So judging all the people who are...
A big documentary as the first one at cinema about the Norwegian gypsies, Tater. And then I find out Norway haven't the law against genocide.
Could you just put the mic on here to you?
Yes. Okay, you hear me now? Yes. And then I was going to Rwanda when the Gacaca started with the Helsinki committee. And I visit a little society, Dear Sonia. It's widows, and all of them, it's Hutu and Tutsi widows, but all of them are married with Tutsi men. And it means all the children and the man was killed. So I was also in the Gachacha, you talk about, for Madeleine. So I make a film about 3 hours, so everybody in Norway and all over can watch what Gachacha is, from the beginning to the end. And I also follow this small society, the way they build it up. But one thing that was really interesting was that Frus, she's the boss, great lady. I love her. And she was protective of a Hutu family in the genocide. And she had 12 children, 2 survived. But after the genocide, she take 20 children to her and take care of them. What I'm doing now, and I'm sorry to tell that, in Norway is a really, really hard Hutu power organization. And when I start to make a film about genocide and genocide,
Africa as such is very, very important for KDH. We have actually a new strategy for Africa because we think that, well, it's so obvious. You all people here is one part of the obviousness of working with Africa. And in the new world we are today, with the sustainable development goals we have, we are all developing countries. We have to develop as well as African countries have to develop. We have so many challenges we have to work with, and we do that in partnerships with universities, for instance in Kigali and in Nairobi and in Gaborone as an example. What we do especially is working with something called challenge-driven education, which is a relatively new way of teaching students challenges, how to deal with challenges. And what is a challenge? That is an open problem. There's no solution. There are stakeholders that want you to do something. And we put the students together in teams. And these are teams with students from Sweden and from our African partners. And they create fantastic results. And that is what we mean by challenge-driven education. We do research as well, where we say that's not as important as this. And we do partnerships and we do innovation. So there's a huge potential for innovation in Africa as well. And KH is very, very strong in early stage innovation, which can be something we can support each other with. Finally, we will also start recruiting African students. Well, typical European or American universities are recruiting students in Africa now. We used to take them from China before and India, now we take them to Africa. Well, not really. It's very important that we do it together with our partners and that we find solutions that are suited for our Africa students. I had an alumni event a few years ago in London, and there were a number of Africa students having been at KDH 10, 50 years ago that point out the importance for them.
Consultation started for 1 year, and together bring together government officials, leaders from different fields, religions, political members of political parties, those who are not involved into genocide, of course, and all these people start every Saturday reflecting, debating, discussing on the future of Rwanda. So, we had a situation where Rwanda was like a failed state completely, and we had on one side survivors of the genocide, on the other side people living,
I don't have the experience that many people here have. I was next door, I was across the border in 1994 in May. I was in Uganda. And I remember thinking, how are they going to forgive? How are they going to forgive each other, and how are they going to forgive the world around, the international community? And when we look at Rwanda today, it's an amazing journey that the country has done. And it's because of this centeredness on the people orientation, it's the resilience was mentioned, it's also the forgiveness. And I believe that, unfortunately, the rest of the world will need to learn about forgiveness from countries like Rwanda. I think we have a lot to learn. Unfortunately, I think that countries like Colombia, Afghanistan, to Syria, Ukraine, that are going through is not a similar process, but a different process, but where forgiveness will become key. So, rather than saying what Rwanda has to learn from the rest of the world, I would like to say that the world has something to learn from Rwanda. And this is why I'm so happy that Rwanda has decided to be the first country in Africa to work with the Development Goals. which is basically the human side of reaching sustainability in the world. If we're going to reach the SDGs, it's not enough with innovations, it's not enough with investments. We need to look at what created all these problems, the human beings. And the initiative has done a lot of research. The Inner Development Goals are working with the UNDP and many famous researchers in America and in Sweden. And it's a beautiful framework, and if I have time, I would love to demonstrate one of the methods that's being used in it. Now, we're going to do a game. And the name of the game is thumb wrestling. Yeah? So you find a partner, and your goal is to earn as many points as possible. No talking, complete silence, only I can talk. And you start and you stop on my signal, and you count your own points. So what is thumb wrestling? I'm going to demonstrate with Ambassador here. So you start like this, and then you're trying to wrestle down the other person's thumb, and then the other person has to wrestle you down. And yeah, don't get too excited. And every time you get a point, you count your point, and the other person counts his or her points. Are you ready? Steady, go! Don't keep hello, Now, I would like to know how many of you had 100 points. How many had 50 points? No? How many had 20 points? Okay.
Esteemed guest, Sweden has been a key contributor to Rwanda's journey, with strong cooperation for over 20 years in human rights, democracy and gender equality, environment and climate, as well as in more inclusive economic growth. Not forgetting the tremendous contribution towards Rwanda's development and poverty eradication through research collaboration between Sweden and the University of Rwanda, as it voiced. That is duty, honor, and integrity, to mention a few. Resilience, ladies and gentlemen, is in the leadership too often targeted with intimidation attempts with the double standards and lazy dismissal, with stereotypes neatly packaged for those that look like us, a leadership that nevertheless remains intent on its mission to deliver to the citizens it loves, the opportunities, the stability, the recognized and defended dignity that they are entitled to. For us, resilience is quite simply the difference between life and death, between regression and progress. Through discussions such as these, among other constant efforts,
Sinagira